Welcome to Mr. Holloway's Foundational Java Skills series. In this video, we're going to talk about variables. But before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, as well as hit that notifications button. All right, now class is now in session, and we're going to talk about variables. Now, variables are simply containers. So imagine this box here, and you put something in the box. And that is how a variable works. It's just a container. Hello everyone, I am recording this video at a different time. I realized that I didn't provide a practical example of a variable, and I wanted to do that here. So I'm just going to take a moment, and then after I finish this, we're going to continue on with the video. So real life example. So this is a Pac-Man game, and in Pac-Man we're going to look at the variables that are used in the game. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to try not to get eaten. The first variable that you're going to notice is the variable up here. It's probably something called player up. One player up or first player or something like that. And it's just a variable, and it contains it's a container for values. And as you eat each pill, you get 10 points, and it's added on to this score here. You're also going to notice a high score, and it's 10,000 right now. And the high score is used to is constantly. I'm going to get caught. Nothing like a little drama here. So the high score is used and is constantly evaluated to see if the I'm going to go ahead and get eaten here, but it's evaluated against the high score. So this first score is evaluated here, and so what it's constantly asking is, hey, is the high score less than the first player score? And if it is, then that first player score becomes, if it's greater than, it becomes the high score. So anyway, so let me go ahead and okay, so I'm gonna get eaten. So that's the second time I've been eaten. This is probably number of lives left or something like that. That is a variable, and so it holds 2 right now. And so each time a player loses its life, it subtracts that. I'm going to try to get this cherry if I can. I can't do it, and it's going to go away. Anyway, so there's probably a variable here. If you notice that this is, it has a number here, so it's probably some sort of integer. So here's a variable here. Here's a variable here, and here's two additional variables. So variables are just used all throughout video games. They basically just store values, and they're very, very useful. All right, so anyway, I'm going to move on, and I'm going to probably have to eat a few more of these before I can, because this game is very addicting. Anyway, I will see you in the video. We're going to continue on from where I left off. See you over there. Variables are used in many different languages. They're declared differently. If you have my Python series, I'm going to kind of go over some of how variables are declared there, just to kind of briefly compare how Java variables work. But let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So I'm going to go into REPL or Replit. And if you remember from my previous videos, I am working in Replit. It's an online editor, but if you're in your own editor, that's fine. Now, if you are a beginning coder, this is the perfect video for you. If you are intermediate or you're coming from a different language, this is going to be helpful as well, because I'm going to go over a couple of things here related to other languages. So let's go ahead and clean this up. So I'm going to go and clean this up. And if you remember from my other videos, there's a reason why I'm doing the brackets like this. Now, again, we're going to be coding inside of these brackets right here. Okay. Now, I'm going to leave this statement here, this system.out.println. This is simply an output statement. So if we run it, and if you remember from the previous videos, we're going to run this, and we're going to see hello world here. Now, this is a string, and I'm actually going to go over strings a lot. But this is simply a string, and it is a type of data, but we'll talk about that in a second. Now, with a variable, our container is, what we like to do is we need to declare a variable. So we're going to declare it, and then we're going to assign a value. Okay. Now you don't necessarily have to declare and assign in the same statement. We're just going to make it a habit of declaring and assigning a value. And so let's take a look at what that means. So in Java, there are 8 different types of primitive values. Now, what does that mean to you right now? Probably nothing. So, but I'm going to go over that in the next video because I think it's important for us to understand variables first. So we're going to declare a variable, and let's say we want to declare a variable that is a number. Okay, so I'm just going to do a variable now, just a simple variable. Now, if this was Python, I could do x is equal to 10. All right, but we're not working in Python, so we have to do it a little bit differently. So in this case, I first need to declare its data type. So I'm going to declare this data type. So this is an integer. An integer is just a whole number. And I'm going to declare a variable named x. And then I'm going to assign it a value. So I'm going to assign it a value of 10. Now, and also in Java, you need to finish each line with a semicolon. Okay, so what I've just done is I've declared a variable and I've assigned it a value. And so I would read this as x is equal to 10. All right, let's go over another data type. So let's say we wanted to do a decimal. So I'm going to declare a variable type called a decimal. And I'm just going to call this y for now. And I'm going to say 3.75. Okay, so we've declared a variable called y. We've assigned it a value of 3.75. All right, now we're going to do another data type. This time it's going to be a string. And so a string, if you remember from the previous videos, are simply a sequence of text. So I'm going to say string. So again, here I'm assigning or I'm declaring the variable type, what type of data it is, because we need to let Java know ahead of time. And let's just say name, and I'm going to say equal to. Now, remember with strings, we need to put them in quotes, in double quotes. And so I'm going to say Bob. Okay, so we're going to declare a variable named name, and we're going to assign it a value of Bob. Now, we have just declared 3 variables. Okay, now these variable names are okay, these first 2. This is actually a good name because it's meaningful. So when you're declaring variables, it's a good idea to give them meaningful names so you know what they are. X and Y aren't necessarily great names, but if I was working on a math problem, this would probably be okay. But let's say I wanted to just say, let's say age, right? So that would be a more declarative variable, a more meaningful variable. And let's say I wanted to name this GPA. So, as long as we're not doing like a math problem, situations where you typically would get an X and a Y or an A and a B, it's a good idea to give them more meaningful names. And so in this case, we know that we're dealing with age, we're dealing with a GPA, and we're dealing with names. Now, in each of these cases, we have declared a variable and we've assigned it a value. Now, again, whenever you declare a variable, you have to declare its variable type. All right. Now let's work on. Let me see. I'm just gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna copy that, and then I'm going to put this in a multi-line comment. Okay. And so let me go ahead and do this. So I'm just gonna leave. So I'm gonna leave this here, so you can see it. But I want to deal with this. So this hello world. I want to put this in a container because with variables, let's say I had 50 of these statements and they were all throughout my program. And just to give you an idea, if I had this, I had a bunch of these statements. And again, this is just for demonstration purposes. Just imagine I had all of these. And let's say that in one let's say in one part of my code, I decided to change the name here. So if I wanted to say hello, instead of hello world, I wanted to say hello there. Okay, that means that I would have to change this in all of these instances of where I have hello world, and that's not very efficient. So one of the cool things is we can use variables to represent those types of things. So what I could do is, let me just get rid of this, and I'm going to just put this, all right, get rid of all of these hello world statements, and I'm just going to leave this here. So what I want to do is put this in a variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is a string, and then I'm just going to say, we'll just say hello. I'll call it hello. So again, the variable name is hello, and this it's a data type of string. So again, we have declared a variable. Now let's assign it a value, and the value I'm going to assign it is hello world. Okay, now let's get rid of this. Okay, so we no longer need that, and we want to print the same thing. So all I need to do now is just put the variable inside of here. Okay, so now if I click run, it's going to do this the same thing. Where did I made a mistake? So I did make a mistake. Let's see if you can figure it out. It is in line 6, and I did not put a semicolon there. So remember, in Java, you need to complete each line, every line of code, you need to put a semicolon. So that should be fixed. And if you look at the error, it tells us error expected. And this is the cool thing about just learning about errors, is that the faster you figure out what they are, the easier your coding experience is going to be, because sometimes the errors can be kind of hard to figure out. All right, now let's go ahead and run this again, and we should get hello world. We're going to basically get the same thing that we have been getting, except now we have a variable represented in this statement here. And again, there it is. All right, now the last thing I want to cover in this video is what happens if we declare a variable but we don't give its data type. Let's watch what happens. So I'm going to take this string out, and I'm going to try to print this. Now again, we have a variable, kind of in the sense that we would do it in Python. I've set a value, and we're going to try to print this, and let's see what happens. And Java is really good at letting us know what the problem is most of the time. Sometimes we need to kind of figure it out. And so there's a lot here, but let's see if we can figure this out. So it says error cannot find symbol. Okay, variable hello. It says Java cannot find symbol system dot. All right, so it basically doesn't even recognize this, and it says there's 2 errors, but it doesn't even recognize this as a variable. So again, before we declare any variable, we want to make this a string, and so we're going to do that. And we can do the same thing with any other types of data that we're dealing with. All right, now I think I want to cover a couple things with naming. So with naming variables, so let's say I'm going to make this variable names, and if you remember, this is a comment. I'm going to say variable names. So with variable names, let me just paste some of this in here. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to make this a multi-line comment, and I'll put it in here, and we'll kind of go over it. All right, so let me see. So Java variables, and I'll go over some examples right here. So with variables, all right, so Java variable name should start with a letter, underscore, or $sign. Okay, so we just can't name a variable like with just any old name. It has to be named a specific variable. Now, subsequent characters can also be digits. The names are case sensitive and should be meaningful. So what does that mean? If we do string and we do hello, that is a different variable, and I'm going to say hi there. And in this case, we have a variable that is not used, so that's why it's gray, but we're going to use it in a second. So let me go ahead and copy this, and let's print that out. And instead of hello, the lowercase, I'm going to do hello. Okay. Actually, let me just show you a little trick here. I'm going to get rid of that. And so, okay. So if you notice, if once I start to type, I get code hinting, and I can just hit the tab button. So I don't actually have to type out hello. I can just hit the tab button and it will input it for me. Okay, so that's really useful. So now let's look at the case sensitivity of these two variables. So now watch what happens when I print. And these are two different variables. And so when I try to print, we got another error. What is that error here? Let's see what it says. And I cannot spell. All right, here we go. Easy to fix. And let's run it again. And we're going to see that this is going to print out two different statements here. So one is going to say hello and then hi there, because in Java, variables are case sensitive. All right, that is going to conclude this video. I will continue to talk about variables next. In the next video, we're going to expand on variables and primitives. All right, class is now dismissed. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and hit that notifications button. And I will see you in the next video.